Hello, fans! ChatGPT said, "Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the issue that's stirring emotional reckonings and unexpected closure in Port Charles, the aftermath of Willow's cancelled wedding to Drew. The fragile healing between her and Michael, and a major turning point in Willow's personal life. This storyline ties together some of the most important emotional threads of the past year and signals a fresh start for several characters while drawing a definitive line under others. Let's go straight to the heart of the drama and unpack how one woman's difficult choices are finally leading to a path of redemption and how forgiveness may come with conditions. When Willow Tate made the bold decision to cancel her wedding to Drew Kane, the ripple effect was immediate. It wasn't just a personal moment of heartbreak or clarity, it reopened wounds in nearly every relationship she had left. But for Michael Corinthos, it also brought a surprising mix of shock and relief. Michael had been quietly watching Willow spiral further away from the woman he once knew. Her connection to Drew, the decisions she made about her life, and most of all, her secrecy, had pushed a wedge between them that had seemed irreparable. But when he heard that Willow had walked away from Drew at the altar, something shifted. He was stunned, yes, but also strangely grateful, not because Willow was in pain, but because she had finally seen the truth about Drew. For Michael, the situation was never about controlling Willow's choices, but about protecting his children. The idea that Amelia and Wiley could be exposed to instability or worse, manipulation, was something Michael could not allow. He had been firm in his decision to deny Willow access to the children while she was engaged to Drew. Carly supported him. Both believed Willow had lost her way and was no longer fit to be in a co-parenting arrangement. But now things were different. Willow's decision to call off the wedding hadn't just proved that she recognized Drew's flaws, it also proved that she still had moral clarity, even in a storm of pain. That meant something to Michael. And when he heard that Willow had gone to Carly personally, begging for a chance to see Wiley and Amelia again, and that Carly had refused, Michael took a moment to rethink everything. He remembered the promise he made months ago. If Willow ever chose not to marry Drew, he would consider allowing her to see the children again. Now, that condition had been met. So Michael reached out. The meeting between Michael and Willow took place in a quiet corner of Port Charles Park, the same spot where they once dreamed together about building a life as a family. For Willow, the sight of Michael walking toward her again brought both joy and anxiety. But he didn't waste time. He told her that he remembered what he promised, and now he was prepared to honor that promise. Willow could see the change in his expression. He wasn't cold. He wasn't furious. He was guarded, but thoughtful and open. Michael told her that she would be allowed to see Wiley and Amelia twice a month for supervised visits, and he would be present at all times. He made it clear that this was not a reconciliation, and it wasn't a full restoration of parental rights. It was a test, a starting point, and it would be reevaluated if any issues came up. But it was real. Willow was overwhelmed with emotion. She didn't beg, she didn't protest, she simply thanked him, over and over, and cried quietly as she realized what this meant. After months of silence, guilt, and isolation, she would finally be able to hold her children again. She would have a chance to rebuild. This was the good news she didn't think she would get. Willow didn't waste time turning this second chance into something meaningful. She returned to her apartment that night and began rethinking her life from top to bottom. She had already decided that nursing no longer brought her peace. The hospital was filled with memories of cancer, of loss, of confusion. It reminded her of a time when she lost herself, and she didn't want that anymore. Instead, Willow chose to return to her first passion, teaching. Years ago, before medical school, before motherhood, before Drew, Willow was a teacher. It was a career that made her feel whole, grounded, connected. It reminded her of who she was before chaos entered her life. So she contacted the Port Charles Elementary School, updated her credentials, and filed her application. Thanks to her spotless prior record and her strong references, Willow was quickly offered a position. She accepted, marking the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter that would be built on service, healing, and community rather than drama, heartbreak, or betrayal. While Willow was stepping forward, Drew was still trying to look back. Despite everything, Drew continued to reach out to Willow. He texted. He showed up unexpectedly. He made quiet appeals, asking for one last conversation or a chance to make things right. But Willow no longer entertained the idea of reconciliation. Her mind was made up. She told Drew kindly but firmly that she would not be dating anyone again. Not him. Not anyone. She had spent too long searching for stability in relationships, and now she just wanted peace. She wanted to raise her children, be a good teacher, and live a quiet life away from the spotlight of Port Charles drama. Willow made it clear she would be single, independent, and focused on herself from now on. She would rebuild her life not as someone's wife or someone's girlfriend, but as her own person. Drew didn't take it well. He felt hurt, rejected all over again. But this time, Willow didn't allow his reaction to sway her. She had finally learned to stop putting other people's emotions ahead of her own healing. This wasn't about revenge. It was about self-respect. As the weeks passed, Willow adjusted to her new rhythm. Every other Saturday, Michael brought Wiley and Amelia to the park. The first visit was awkward, the second was better, and by the third, Amelia was hugging her mother without hesitation, and Wiley had started calling her mommy again. The bond was still there, bruised, but not broken. At school, Willow quickly became a favorite among the children. Her calm demeanor, gentle humor, and compassionate presence made her a natural fit in the classroom. Parents began requesting her. Colleagues welcomed her back warmly. She had found her calling again, and this time, she was determined not to lose it. Even Carly, who had once shut the door so firmly, began to soften when she heard from Michael how well Willow was doing. She still had her reservations, but she no longer saw Willow as a threat, just a woman trying to right her wrongs. For Michael, things were still complicated. He didn't forgive easily, and he didn't forget. But as he watched Willow show up consistently, humbly for their kids, he began to let go of his anger, bit by bit, day by day. Their conversations were still limited. Their dynamic was more business than friendship. But the edge was gone. There was even the faintest sense that, someday, they might find friendship again, maybe not now, maybe not soon, but maybe eventually. And that's what General Hospital does best. Next, we will delve into the whirlwind of speculation swirling around Britt Westburn's potential resurrection from the dead and the chaotic shadow cast by Heather Weber's looming comeback, promising a week of jaw-dropping twists in Port Charles. In the ever-tumultuous landscape of Port Charles, where the line between life and death blurs like a foggy harbor dawn, the gossip circuits are ablaze with electrifying hints that the irrepressible Britt Westburn might be clawing her way back from the grave, sending shockwaves through the devoted GH community. Enthusiastic fans are bombarding social media with ecstatic declarations, such as the Bridge rises again, restoring balance to our chaotic soap universe, igniting fervent discussions about whether this beloved doctor, presumed lost to the cruel grip of Huntington's disease, could truly resurface in the flesh. The spark that ignited this frenzy stems from Jason Morgan's recent overseas escapade, where he locked eyes with a mysterious woman at a bustling Paris airport terminal. Convinced beyond doubt that it was Britt herself, her signature sharp wit and striking features unmistakable amid the crowd of travelers, he's since poured out his bewildering encounter to his steadfast confidant Carly Spencer, who, despite the sheer improbability of someone faking their demise in such a dramatic fashion, entertains his theory with a mix of skepticism and intrigue, perhaps drawing from her own history of improbable reunions like those with her long-lost children. But lurking in the wings is the ultimate wildcard, Heather Weber, the infamous harbinger of mayhem, who's freshly discharged from medical confines and radiating an aura of unquenched mischief, ready to sabotage any harmonious revival. Fresh off her cryptic vow to re-emerge when least expected, Heather's potential interference could transform Britt's triumphant return into a nightmare of disruptions. leaving viewers on the edge of their seats for a roller coaster of revelations that might redefine alliances in this drama-soaked town. To weave in an inventive strand, consider how Jason's sighting wasn't just a fleeting glance but a prolonged moment where the woman dropped a distinctive locket identical to one Britt wore during their ill-fated romance, prompting him to chase her through the airport's labyrinthine corridors only to lose her in the throng, fueling his determination to investigate further with covert calls to international contacts. This added detail heightens the emotional stakes, echoing Jason's past losses, like the void left by his twin brother Drew, and sets the stage for Carly to rally her network, perhaps enlisting tech-savvy Spinelli to scour surveillance footage from Charles de Gaulle Airport, uncovering grainy images that blur the line between coincidence and conspiracy. Diving deeper into the heart-pounding core of this spoiler storm, Jason's pulse-quickening encounter in the City of Lights has reignited old flames of longing, as the stoic enforcer grapples with the ghosts of a love story cut tragically short by Britt's debilitating illness, turning what could be a mere doppelganger sighting into a beacon of destined redemption. The raw vulnerability Jason displayed his usually unshakable demeanor cracking as he recounted the moment to Carly underscores how Britt's memory lingers like an unhealed scar, her unexpected affection having pierced his armored heart during their whirlwind courtship, only to be snatched away by fate's cruel hand. This development has fans in a frenzy, dissecting every angle from hopeful romantic revivals to darker undercurrents, especially with Britt's formidable mother, Liesl Obrecht, poised on the precipice of an emotional maelstrom. The no-nonsense matriarch might dissolve into a torrent of joyful sobs upon learning her daughter evaded death, or unleash a vengeful fury if Britt's survival was shrouded in secrecy, perhaps involving experimental treatments Liesl herself pioneered in shadowy European labs. The fanbase remains divided, with romantics yearning for Jason and Britt to rekindle their passion amid Paris-inspired escapades, while skeptics fret over concealed motives made Britt orchestrated her death to escape a hidden threat tied to her family's criminal legacy, a secret that could detonate like a time bomb if exposed. Inventing a fresh dimension to enrich this narrative, envision Liesl receiving an anonymous postcard from Paris postmarked with a cryptic message in Britt's handwriting, "Mother." The phoenix rises, triggering her to launch a clandestine investigation, jetting off to France with a suitcase full of gadgets and grudges, potentially crossing paths with Jason in a tense alliance that blends maternal desperation with hitman precision. This layer amplifies the haunting aftermath of Britt's supposed passing, drawing parallels to other GH resurrections like that of Helena Casadini, and stirs speculation that her return might involve a cure for Huntington's discovered in exile, offering hope to afflicted characters while complicating her reintegration into Port Charles's web of intrigue, especially if Heather's shadow looms large. Shifting focus to the powder keg of unpredictability, Heather Weber's recent liberation from hospital oversight, facilitated by dubious courtroom maneuvers that skirted justice like a sly fox, positions her as the ultimate disruptor, her penchant for pandemonium threatening to eclipse even the most anticipated comebacks. Barely settled back into society, Heather's radar for trouble could zero in on the buzz surrounding Britt, perhaps eavesdropping on a juicy tidbit from the ever-chatty Nina Reeves during a chance encounter at the local spa, where whispers of ghostly sightings fuel her twisted imagination. With a rap sheet boasting everything from orchestrated serial killings under the guise of the hook to wreaking bedlam in the halls of General Hospital itself, Heather embodies the quintessential loose cannon, her motives a murky blend of seeking notoriety and settling old scorsimogen, her fixating on Britt as a rival for the spotlight. Driven by jealousy over Britt's medical prowess that once overshadowed Heather's own delusional schemes, fans are voicing genuine apprehension that Heather's resurgence will morph Britt's homecoming into a perilous spectacle, her unreformed nature evident in the insincere farewell she bid to young Ace Casadini, hinting at unfinished business that could entangle innocent bystanders in her web of insanity. To expand with an original twist, picture Heather donning a disguise, perhaps a wig mimicking Britt's stiletto, infiltrate a welcome back gathering orchestrated by Liesl, sowing seeds of doubt by planting forged evidence suggesting Britt's survival was a hoax funded by black market dealings, thereby turning public excitement into a witch hunt that forces Britt to go underground once more. This invention underscores Heather's history of manipulation, reminiscent of her past obsessions with characters like Esme Prince, and raises the stakes by potentially linking her chaos to broader Port Charles threats, like tampering with hospital records to expose vulnerabilities, ensuring her timing couldn't be more disastrously perfect for derailing any sense of closure. As the soap opera saga barrels toward a collision of epic proportions, the tantalizing prospect of Heather and Britt converging in Port Charles simultaneously promises a symphony of erratic escapades, where old grudges and fresh vendettas could erupt in spectacular fashion. Enthusiasts are buzzing with anticipation for the return of these iconic figures, even as they ponder if Britt's agenda includes exacting retribution for the circumstances surrounding her faked miss, or perhaps enlisting Jason's lethal skills to neutralize lingering enemies from her past, like remnants of the Faison dynasty that once plagued her family. The enigmatic Stone Cold himself stands at the crossroads, torn between pursuing a passionate reconciliation with Britt, complete with clandestine meetings in hidden safe houses, and contending with Heather's orchestrated turmoil, which might manifest as a deranged scheme to hijack the narrative by staging dramatic interruptions at key moments, such as crashing a family reunion with outlandish accusations. While the majority of the GH faithful are electrified by Britt's hype, a cautious faction is steeling themselves for the fallout, speculating if Heather's next ploy involves a dual return designed to maximize disruption, perhaps by allying with unlikely cohorts to amplify the madness. Adding an inventive flourish to this climax, imagine a high-stakes showdown at the Quartermain mansion where Britt, newly arrived and armed with proof of her survival experimental serum vial as evidence, confronts Heather in a verbal spar that escalates to physical chaos, drawing in Jason for a heroic intervention that revives their chemistry amid flying accusations and shattered vases. This scenario captures the essence of soap unpredictability, echoing fan desires for romance while highlighting Heather's spotlight-stealing antics, ultimately leaving viewers to wonder if Britt can navigate the insanity to reclaim her place, or if Heather's whirlwind will sweep away any chance for peace in this riveting week ahead. Next, we will uncover the tangled web of blackmail and family loyalty as Michael Corinthos steps up to rescue his sister Christina and her mother Alexis from the clutches of Rick Lansing and Ava Jerome's devious scheme. In the shadowy corridors of Port Charles, where desperate acts often spiral into catastrophic consequences, Christina Corinthos Davis ignited a firestorm of trouble by tampering with the brake lines on Rick Lansing's vehicle. A reckless move born from simmering grudges that nearly claimed the lives of both Rick and the unsuspecting Elizabeth Weber in a harrowing crash on a rain-slicked road. The fallout from this near-fatal incident rippled through the town like an unstoppable tide, eventually catching the keen eye of the cunning Ava Jerome, who pieced together the puzzle through overheard whispers and suspicious alibis at the Jerome Gallery, deciding to wield this explosive knowledge as a weapon for personal gain. Seizing the opportunity, Ava cornered Alexis Davis with a chilling ultimatum: siphon off chunks of the vast Casa Dini fortune she's been entrusted to manage, or watch Christina face the cold bars of a prison cell for attempted murder. A threat that twisted the knife deeper given Alexis's own history of legal battles and family secrets. Not one to miss out on the action, Rick soon jumped aboard this extortion train, his lawyerly instincts sharpening the plot as he forged alliances with Ava to amplify the pressure. Perhaps through fabricated evidence like Dr. Dashcam footage that could seal Christina's fate if leaked to authorities. Alexis, burdened by maternal protectiveness, eventually confided the grim details to Christina during a tense midnight conversation in their dimly lit living room, where tears and regrets flowed freely amid stacks of legal documents. Seizing a moment of vulnerability, Christina then loops in her stepfast brother Michael, laying bare the full extent of her sabotage and the blackmail news tightening around them, to which Michael responded with unwavering resolve, vowing to orchestrate a turnaround that would restore peace to their fractured family. To infuse a creative spark into this drama, imagine Christina's sabotage wasn't just impulsive but tied to a hidden motive. Perhaps she discovered Rick's clandestine meetings with shady investors aiming to undercut the Corinthos coffee empire, fueling her rage and leading to that fateful night under the car's hood with wire cutters in hand. This added layer deepens the intrigue, highlighting how Port Charles's undercurrents of rivalry often push characters to extremes, and sets the stage for Michael's intervention as he navigates not only the immediate crisis but lingering resentments from past feuds like Rick's previous manipulations during custody wars over Molly. As the stakes escalate, Michael's promise echoes the Corinthos' legacy of turning the tables on adversaries, positioning him as the potential savior in a storyline ripe with moral ambiguities and high-tension confrontations. Delving into the arsenal of strategies Michael could deploy to dismantle Rick and Ava's grip, one potent avenue involves enlisting the formidable influence of his father, Sonny Corinthos. Fresh off his triumphant neutralization of the ruthless arms dealer Lorenzo Sidwell through a meticulously planned ambush at the piers that left Sidwell's operations in tatters. With Sonny's mobster prowess at his disposal, Michael might arrange a discreet summit at the Corinthos compound, where Sonny could lean on his estranged brother Rick with a blend of fraternal warnings and veiled threats, reminding him of old family codes that forbid such betrayals, while simultaneously cornering Ava in her art gallery with enforcers lurking nearby to underscore the perils of crossing the Corinthos clan. This familial pressure could force the duo to abandon their scheme, perhaps by destroying incriminating files in a dramatic bonfire witnessed by all parties to ensure compliance. Alternatively, Michael could tap into the investigative talents of the resourceful Felicia Scorpio and the tech wizard Damian Spinelli, commissioning them to unearth buried skeletons in Rick and Ava's closets. Think Felicia tailing Rick to illicit rendezvous exposing embezzlement from client funds, or Spinelli hacking into Ava's encrypted emails revealing art forgery scandals tied to international smugglers. Armed with such damning leverage, Michael would engineer a classic standoff, presenting the evidence in a high-stakes negotiation at a neutral spot like the Metro Court rooftop, where mutual assured destruction hangs in the balance, compelling Rick and Ava to dismantle their plot lest their own misdeeds see the light of day. Inventing a fresh element to heighten the suspense, picture Spinelli stumbling upon a forgotten audio recording from years ago capturing Ava's involvement in a hit-and run that was hushed up, or Felicia uncovering Rick's secret offshore accounts funneled from shady divorce settlements, creating a web of counter-blackmail that mirrors the original scheme, but with Michael holding the upper hand. These tactics underscore Michael's evolution from a privileged heir to a strategic operator, drawing on alliances forged in fire, much like his past dealings with corporate takeovers at ELQ, and promise to shift the power dynamic in favor of Christina and Alexis, who have endured sleepless nights haunted by the fear of exposure. Yet, amid these elaborate maneuvers, the simplest path to liberation emerges through Michael's considerable financial might, allowing him to dangle a lucrative cash payout before Rick and Ava as an irresistible olive branch, structured as a one-time settlement funneled through anonymous channels to buy their eternal silence and end the torment inflicted on the Davis women. As the CEO of Aurora Media with access to Quartermain coffers, Michael could negotiate this deal in a clandestine boardroom meeting, outlining terms that include non-disclosure agreements sealed with ironclad penalties, ensuring the blackmail evaporates like mist under the sun once the funds hit their accounts. However, the shadows of risk loom large. Should word leak that Alexis has been diverting Casadini assets to a bogus shell company orchestrated by Rick and Ava, perhaps a front masquerading as a charitable foundation, the repercussions could be dire, landing Alexis behind bars for embezzlement and stripping her of her cherished law license, a fate that would echo her previous disbarments and shatter her professional identity. To safeguard against this, Michael would swiftly replenish the depleted estate funds with his own resources, executing wire transfers under the radar before auditors or family like Valentin Casadini catch wind of the discrepancies, restoring the balance sheet to pristine condition. Adding an inventive twist to this resolution, envision Michael sweetening the pot with non-monetary incentives, like offering Ava exclusive art dealership rights in a new gallery venture or Rick a prestigious legal consultancy gig abroad. Temptations tailored to their ambitions that make acquiescence all the more appealing while concealing the true nature of the transaction. This multifaceted approach not only neutralizes the threat but elevates Michael to heroic status within his family, mending bonds strained by Christina's misstep and reinforcing his role as the reliable fixer in Port Charles's endless cycle of schemes and redemptions, leaving fans eager for the dramatic payoff as loyalties are tested and secrets unravel.